Hello and welcome back to the ministry. I have another word for y'all. This is important. It's in relation to, consider this a crossover part 2. I know I did a 3-part series and then I did another crossover. This is part 2 to that second one. Okay. You are in the middle of a crossover, and it was weird because it was something that happened that the Lord brought my attention to that spawned the beginning of this word. And I needed to do something before in order for me to be able to give you this properly. Because the Lord actually let me completely forget what the word was, and then he brought it back. So, we are going to talk about, we just came out of resurrection. But God wants me to draw your attention to this. It's going to bring a lot of points together, okay? In resurrection, you see something die, be buried, and then be resurrected, okay? In this happening, okay, you need to come into the understanding of what that looks like, okay? I'm going to tell you what actually happened. Now, this has happened to me a couple of times, so I know it has something to do with the death, burial, and resurrection. A lot of us have been in seasons where the Lord has been having us in isolation because he was in preparation with us. He was preparing us for where he is taking us. So because he's preparing us for where he's taking us, he's also preparing us to come out of what it is. So in that, some things had to die in order for us to take on the fullness of the identity he was trying to give us, okay? So, with that being said, there needed to be a death of some things in the process. Some things had to die in order for something new to live. Old things, old patterns, old habits. You were put in that isolation season in order to train you, process you, and in order for those things to die. Now you are in a season God is trying to tell you it's time to come out, resurrect, and come out of that. But you had to bury the things that couldn't come with you, okay? Now, the incident. I needed to wash my hair. I had the hairstyle I had in previously. It was time for my hair to be washed. It had been a few weeks. It was time. So, I need to take my hair down. So, on day 1, the death. I had to take my hair down and wash it. So, I washed it, got it clean. I even washed the hair that had been in my head. But I forgot. This is how God worked with me. If you think that God's telling you, don't put an extension back in your head, he probably was telling you, don't put an extension back in your head. Because I momentarily thought about that. But then I got the brilliant idea, I'm going to braid my hair back. It never works. So what ended up happening was I washed my hair. I let my hair dry. I twisted it up like I thought I wanted it to get done. And then I started the process of braiding it. Day 1, the death. I knew in this moment, I'm going to just try this out, see how this works. It might actually do what I want it to do. So I put it in. I started the process. Day 2, I finished the hair. Come to find out, it turned out awfully. The hair was pulling too much, so it separated too much in the top. So it did something that happened. The very same thing happened to me when I tried to make a wig one time. The hair's weight was so weighty that it pulled on the hair net too much, and I needed a stronger net. And I needed to apply it a little bit different. When I tried to do it in a weave braid cycle around it, it pulled and it kept separating. The hair kept separating. That's exactly what happened on my head. So I came to the realization I can do nothing with this but take it out. Day 3, the resurrection. I took the hair out and looked at my own hair and said, I'm going to leave my own hair. Understanding your identity of who you are is the resurrection. God, I hear God even right now reminding me of something he told me years ago about the fact that he wasn't making a branding name that I created famous. He literally screamed it in my ear. This is how I know I can hear God. It's like, I will not make that famous. He was not going to have me presented in a way that was not real. You understand what I'm saying? So in that, he had me remove it. It's not the fact, I don't believe, that God has a problem with people using fake hair. A lot of people use fake hair. People use it all the time. But in certain seasons, he wants to reveal you. And in that means I need you. Meaning I don't need the pretense. I don't need the extras. I don't need the hair. I don't need none of that. I need you. When I took the hair out and looked at the crinkling pattern that occurred with my natural hair due to what I had done to it in order to hold the style in place, I said, just leave it as it is. God needs us to strip our pretenses of who it is that we are or think that we need. For some of us, a lot of us have been held up in our previous seasons because of the fact that we were trying to hold on to pretenses God was trying to get rid of. We needed to release and let those things go. God doesn't want to present, and a lot of us have done this, he doesn't want to present your representative to anyone. Not your spouse, not to the people he's trying to get you to work with, none of that. He wants you. Sometimes we feel like, I'm trying to do this the way that you told me to, but in our rush to do it, we're doing it incorrectly. God has a plan that we do not understand, but he's got to kill our understanding of how it needs to be done. This is why in a lot of cases that when God's trying to talk to you, he literally tells you, yes, I'm going to do that. Do you understand that a lot of our blessings have been held up in a delay because of the fact that we thought that it was going to come a different way? Why? Because God had to kill our view and expectation of the way that thing was going to happen. It had to die and be buried. The false viewpoint, the false evidence that we had created in our own mind of the viewpoint of how it was going to happen. This is all God, because I had none of this written down. He had to kill that. He had to kill whatever it was that made us believe that whatever we thought was going to happen is the way we thought it, so that we would relinquish it. So when he brings it the way that we need it to happen, in that moment, yeah, we had to have a plan. We had to be prepared. But because we planned and prepared didn't mean it was going to happen the way that we thought. Doesn't mean that the plan still doesn't apply. It just means that you have to adjust simultaneously while it's happening. Meaning you have to wait and rest. Most of us hate that process. Nobody likes waiting. Nobody likes resting, especially the go-getter people. But you have to wait in that rest for the actual instruction that is going to align you properly for what it is that God's preparing to walk you into. The whole time I was dealing with that hair situation, subconsciously I was hearing in my head, you want to take that out. I wasn't listening to that second voice saying, take it out. Because I was going through the process. So because I was processing out the process out in my own thought process, I was like, I already done halfway put this hair in. I'm not about to take this out. But in my spirit, I felt I needed to take it out. And then when I finished it, I recognized it still didn't look like what I wanted to. And what did I end up having to do? I had to take it out. God started even showing me things. Did I say that it was going to look like that? No. So because I didn't say it was going to look like that, then why did you do that? Some of us don't be listening. And then we be wondering why we delayed. For some of you, a lot of y'all's delay has been, it was something that God was telling you to do. You didn't take the instruction properly. And he told your behind to sit right down there and wait. Until you do it the way that I told you. You ever have that parental moment when your parent done told you to do something, you didn't do it, and you whatever it was you wanted, they wasn't giving it to you until you did it the way they told you? You ran around, you had a temper tantrum, you tried it, and your parent was like, lay your behind there until you're done. I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to leave you. When you get yourself together and do what I said do, now I'm bless you. God does not reward rebellion. That's what some of your spouses have been dealing with. He wasn't going to reward their rebellion where people may have rewarded their rebellion because they were full of sin. God was like, oh, hell no. You're going to sit there and do what I said until you do what I said. And then when you do what I said, then I might actually give you what you were supposed to do. But if you take too long, because remember when our parents used to do that, you take too daggone long, I'm still not going to give it to you. Because you disobeyed me. Obey God. Okay? Next. Then you can run. But you cannot run. I need you to understand this. Esther had to go through the same process. The day that she called for the banquet of Haman, or for Haman, she went up to her husband and made the request to be made known. A lot of you have been in this previous season going forth before the Lord to make requests to be made known. But a lot of us get into that state where as soon as we're done with our consecration, our whatever it is that we did for the Lord, we're like, yes, God, okay, let's go. And God said, I need you to rest in this moment and watch me do what I need to do so that this thing can take place the way that it needs to. So I'm going to need you to wait. Esther ran and told Xerxes, let's do the banquet. I'm starting to wonder, and follow me here. Was Esther supposed to do the banquet the day that she called for the banquet? Because remember, she had to do it again. Was she always initially supposed to do that banquet on the second night? I just want you to think about that. But I'm also going to give you a reason why she may have had to do it twice. So she came forward the first time with her plan to Xerxes. Secondly, she did the banquet. But in that time, it allotted the players the pieces in the situation. She was able to look, observe, understand certain things, position certain things, just weigh the water of understanding where everybody's head was. It was an observation moment. Then she was able to come out of that moment and observe. After she took that moment, she was able to sit with the Lord. Most of us would have said, why I had to just do that? Why you made me go in there? And how many times? Then she was able to wait till the next day to do the banquet again. Why does the Lord allow these kinds of delays? In order to prepare you. I did a word previously where I talked about being prepared for the test. Sometimes, if God does not have you observe something in the midst of a test, meaning you weren't prepared for it when you were put into the test, but if he has you prepare for it, a preparation for a test sometimes looks exactly like this. A reoccurrence of the same action twice. Because in this action, you get to see points, instructions, observations, preparations, situations, what you need to do, how you need to go about it, what you're going to go into, how you're going to go through the process. You get to observe entry points, exit doors, all of these things in the space. Take in every piece of information, everything that you went through, names, faces, this, that, the other. In that moment. That's why God allotted you to do it one time. Because now you can come up with what? A plan of execution. While you rest and wait for the second approach. 9 times out of 10, in that second approach, it's D-Day. Meaning this is when you actually are going to have to go through the process. Okay? I'm going to tell you this. I watched a race where there was a false start. I'd never seen a race with a false start. I've always heard ministers use that false start, false start, false start. Never knew where it came from. But I watched a race not too long ago as they were preparing for the Olympics. 100-meter dash. When the shot clock went off, or they blew the gun, they came to the realization that before they even really got into the race, that they felt like somebody started ahead of themselves. False start. Therefore, calling everybody to go back to where they started from and do it again. Sometimes the Lord allots you the ability so you can observe, see, pace yourself, situate yourself in a proper manner, observe the situation, all of these kinds of things, take certain things in that moment that you would not have had that information for, and then he what? Allots you the ability to do it again. But this time, you're sharper, you understand, you see, you know where everything is. So in the midst of the test of it, oh, you prepared, you ready, you done. You done did it. You good. But you just went through, you ain't got to go through no more. Because now you're coming in with a separation from this experience, and you can act more strategically in the moment. Without fear, without trembling, anxiety, false evidence appearing real, none of that. Sometimes when I'm recording, some of us, and you will hear a lot of people that do prophetic words, be like, I had to record this thing 3, 4, 5 times. Why do you think the Lord allowed that to happen? Sometimes it's because they put too much information in it. And sometimes it's about there's something that God wanted specifically. Maybe they didn't hear right. Maybe they weren't getting it right. Maybe it was something, and maybe it was about the timing of it all. 9 times out of 10, it's timing for God. I need you to do this exactly on the time frame that I gave you in order for it to be done. God had me do something the other day. He gave me a piece of wisdom about something at the exact same time. I did what he said do, and when I looked up at the clock, it was 4:14 for such a time as this. But had I done it in a different order, I may not have been able to see that clock at that particular point in time, which was a sign that I did what I was supposed to do. God makes you do certain things in a certain order. When I used to record my podcasts, sometimes I would do a podcast and then I would do a short video. I did it that way because the podcast would be a half an hour, but the short I only had 15 minutes for. That's when Instagram used to have the 15-minute videos. You can always do something faster the second time. With this comes speed. When a barrier has been removed, speed comes. A lot of people, when you move into the phase that you're about to move into, people are going to wonder how you did it so fast. Why? Because God had you doing it over and over again in your wilderness. You were sitting there going, why, Lord, you had me do all this and then I'm not going to get anything done. A lot of y'all was doing projects and getting a bunch of stuff done and then nothing happened. Then he made you do it again. Then he made you do it again in a different season. Then he made you redo it again and you still didn't go anywhere. And you were wondering, why did it not go anywhere? Because in the real season, when it's the real time and it's time to go, you're going to move so much faster than everybody else. And people are going to be wondering, why you move so fast? Blah, 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 blah. Because you done did these actions over and over and over again. It's ingrained into your muscle memory system. You see that? And because it's ingrained in your muscle memory system, God was building your character to be able to handle. God was building your stamina to be able to handle it. God was building you in a way that, remember in Karate Kid, wax on, wax off? Karate Kid was like, why in the world I need to get waxing on this car? I thought we were supposed to be doing karate. Why am I doing all these chores around the house? And then the instructor finally told him, when he finally started to teach him the moves,